Okay, From the Top Rope, episode 8. Big episode. First time ever, as I'm saying this to you, that myself and my tag team partner, Jared Carrabis, are in the exact same podcast room at the exact same time. This is two legends colliding. The mega powers collide this week.
It's a big deal. I never would have guessed in a million years that my first podcast that I would record in the Barstool office would be a wrestling podcast. I mean, the odds are there was a 25% chance that it would have been a wrestling podcast versus a baseball podcast, but here we are.
Here we are in this really shitty podcast studio at like 10:15.
So you're jaded. Like this is shitty to you. To me, this is great because all I've ever recorded a podcast on is like a shitty microphone off of Amazon Prime, and I record it in my shitty apartment back in Boston or my parents' house or something like that.
Yeah, the equipment in here is great. If Pete heard me calling this like shitty, he'd be like, "Are you kidding me? This is the most technologically sound podcast studio in the world." But it's like kind of cold in here. Our soundproof thing there's just shit being ripped off the walls. There's thumbtacks in the walls. There's empty Red Bulls everywhere. It's just a pigsty. There's a big show today. We have a guest appearance from our coworker Rone, who joins us for Cream of the Crop, and then he joins us for the interview because our interview consisted of Kevin Condron and Scorpio Sky from Wrestle Circus.
Big Rone guy.
Yeah. They got a huge show coming up on Saturday on twitch.tv/WrestleCircus that they were promoting. Scorpio's got a match against Cody. Kevin Condron has a match against Brandy. We're Team Rhodes on the podcast, but we got to play both sides. And Rone went to college with Kevin Condron, so it was kind of an interesting dynamic. They got to catch up. We know the grapple fucks love it when.
So when we originally, I don't even think we recorded a podcast, or did we? We were talking about grapple fucks and whether or not it would catch on, and you had mentioned that to me, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if it has mass mainstream appeal like award-winning listeners does, and then you went for it. You went for grapple fucks, and it's catching on. Like I get tweets about it.
It
now.
is kind of catching on. Someone said, like, we'll get emails sometimes at our email address we're from the top at Barstool Sports, and they're like, hey, grapple fuck here, and I'm like, let's go.
It's a grassroots thing. I mean, it's definitely not an overwhelming.
It hasn't
tidal wave
taken the world by
of
storm.
Grapple fucks,
but they're every here and there. I'm waiting for it to be in person because it was really cool for me. I went to Cafe 28. It's right by our office. I went there once, and someone showed me their phone, and they were listening to our podcast.
Did he identify himself as a grapple fuck, though?
No, it was before that.
Okay.
It was before we, came up with the grapple fuck thing.
So how long do you think it'll take before someone walks up to you and says, hey, Robbie, what's up? Big grapple fuck.
Oh, I hope not very long.
I hope it's SummerSlam.
I would laugh so hard. Hopefully before SummerSlam.
Well, SummerSlam is coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, like, just people on the street. You're in New York now. People are just going to be like, yo, Carrabis, what are Saturdays for,
I don't know that will happen with me.
I hope, yo, grapple fuck here becomes the new what are Saturdays for.
That would actually be pretty sweet.
It would be.
Or, I mean, how much would Vince McMahon freak out if grapple fuck signs just started to appear on television?
Vince would hate it.
Because, at first he wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even encourage people to bring grapple fuck signs unless they have like a Barstool logo on.
What about if it was like
I want the credit for grapple fuck.
What if it was like a hashtag GF sign?
GFUX or something? Like grapple fucks.
I mean, if you have FUX, they would probably take that sign too.
Yeah, true. There was a Viva La Stool sign on SmackDown tonight.
I saw that there was a Pat McAfee 317 sign on Raw.
Yep, and we had the sign at Battleground. Man, From the Top rope signs are everywhere. If you want to check out those pictures, you could follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at From the Top, left out the rope. And we do have kind of busy shows. Slow week in the wrestling news, but big week in the wrestling world. The G1 Climax continues in Japan. Right now in Block A, Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Tetsuya Naito. I kind of killed those names, but trailed off at the end. They're all in the lead with 8 points. And then on the other side, Block B, we got Kazuchika Okada with 10 points, obviously in the lead. A lot of good matches this week. Okada and Michael Elgin is the match to see. That's like the must-see match of the week. And then in the WWE world, decent Raw, kind of, dragged on. SmackDown is very good. I think Raw it suffers from that 3-hour problem. They need to cut that shit down.
So, and we talked about this, but did we talk about this about making the first hour NXT?
No, we didn't. I don't think so.
Okay, I think that's the perfect idea. If you absolutely need for advertising purposes, but it also takes away from wanting to subscribe to the WWE Network because that's like NXT
is the flagship.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I think that the company in general could benefit from having NXT be the first hour of Raw. People will still watch, obviously, and you also expose wrestling fans to a new brand, and it could also help these guys down in NXT and developmental when they come up to the main roster. And we've talked about this as a major problem for guys getting over. And they're big in NXT, but then they come up to the main roster and no one knows who the fuck they are, and they have great backgrounds that are never explained. And it's just like, oh, here's so-and-so, and there's no backstory. But NXT fans know because they watch them in NXT. But if you don't have the WWE Network, then you're never going to know.
Yeah, it is tough because NXT, like you said, people get over there because of the audience size. The audience size is such a huge thing in wrestling. Like, I've seen guys in front of 12 people at a random American Legion hall that are, like, so fucking over. You're like, man, this guy would kill it in the big leagues, but he wouldn't because he sucks. He's just, that area's flavor. If you make the first hour NXT, I feel like it might get treated as a pre-show or as a, like, people will show up at 9 because NXT is the pre-show, almost in the way that 205 Live gets treated as, like, the third hour of SmackDown is 205 Live.
Yeah. But I mean, the
production,
the production of NXT it trumps 205 Live.
Yeah, it does. It does. On Raw, we had a big opening segment where Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar came out to confront Kurt Angle, and Paul cut an awesome promo. One of my favorite recent Heyman promos because it was just so different than everything else he does, where he's hyping up Brock. And he was kind of saying, you screwed us by making this a fatal four-way, and we don't appreciate it. We think you're trying to get the title off Lesnar. He doesn't even have to be pinned to lose it. So if he does lose, we're fucking taking our ball and going home. We're done.
We're fucking leaving.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is how they've just totally abandoned the need to defend the title every 30 days in order to keep a thing. And
I always think it's an easy it's so easy for Paul to bring that up. Because you bring it up as Brock is a prize fighter. He's a money fighter, It's like in the UFC, he fought once every few months. And then in the WWE, he fights once every few months because they can't take this title away from him because he's too big a draw.
Right.
Like, that's a very easy promo to cut, especially for someone of Heyman's caliber. I think I blogged it. It's one of two things. It's either he's legitimately going to the UFC to fight John Jones because John Jones called him out on Saturday. He said he wants the fight. He's either going to do that, and this will be his last WWE match for a while, or WWE realizes that it seems like it'll be his last match. So they're being very clever. I think it's probably the first.
Do you think that they're saying they're planting the seed on the off chance that he hasn't told them that he's just going to...
Maybe, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
It could be because he walked out on the company 3 years ago during a Monday Night Raw episode because he couldn't get like the negotiation he wanted.
Right.
That was a big story.
I think
his current contract expires at WrestleMania.
Yeah, which it doesn't matter. Like, you can still leave the company and play out your contract. It's not like they can sue you or something.
No.
Especially when you're Brock Lesnar. It's not going to damage his career. I mean, there's certain guys that just get blacklisted. If someone, I'm trying to think of an example. Like if Dolph Ziggler, walked out on the company.
Oh, by the way, apparently Dolph Ziggler's done.
What?
Yeah, this is breaking
news. There's no
news.
news items?
So I forgot to tell you this.
By the way.
I forgot about this. Well, it's not confirmed is the thing. But he tweeted, they did the last show at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit.
Yeah.
And he tweeted like, hell of a couldn't have asked for a better farewell. And someone was like, see you on Tuesday? And he was like, nope. And then I think his brother killed someone. Not Dolph Ziggler's brother that was a wrestler. Like another like older brother or something really bad happened with his brother where he's like in prison now.
Yeah.
And the rumor on the street is that Dolph Ziggler, we've seen his last match.
That might be something worth mentioning next time and when we talk about news.
Man.
But so all right, take the fucking murder story out for a second. If you are someone like Dolph Ziggler, right? And you walk out on the company and you want to come back later, they'd probably tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yep.
But if you're Brock Lesnar and you're under contract through WrestleMania and he walked out after SummerSlam, then they would kiss his ass for him to come back. Never mind just welcome him back if he decided to come back because he draws.
Yep.
But
well, I mean, he hasn't really been a consistent he hasn't been proving that in his second run if you look at the real numbers. But they think he's a draw.
Real numbers in terms of what? Like, because they can't go by pay-per-view
in
buys
terms of
anymore.
like ticket sales and when you look at like viewers of his segments, he's not. It appears that he's not a huge draw.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I find that to be interesting. Well, I mean, he gets called out by John Jones. What was the quote? If you want to get your ass beat by someone that weighs 40 pounds less than you, then
meet me in the octagon.
Yeah, which is
something I say a lot.
Did you cease and desist after that?
I didn't, and I hate John Jones. I probably should have, but I was like thinking to myself, it's not a big UFC fighter move to just cease and desist. It's like.
But I mean, if you're a big business guy, that's your thing.
I am a big business guy, and that's my brand. Just challenging people 40 pounds bigger than me to the octagon.
Gimmick infringement, one would say.
There, we talked some gimmick infringement in our interview.
Uh-huh.
You'll catch that in a bit. Also on Raw, Seth Rollins has a new theme, aka his exact old theme, but when the song pauses usually to hear the crowd not react to him because they don't have any strong feelings either way. Now it's a scream. It's a screaming voice that just screams, "Burn it down."
Do you want to play it right now?
Yeah.
I mean, like reluctantly, but for those who haven't heard it?
For those who haven't heard it. Jared, what the fuck was that? That scared the shit out of me on Monday.
So,
All right,
yes, it scared you, but now that you've heard it, do you like it or do you hate it?
Oh, I hate it.
You hate it. Why?
I think I hate it because it's the only time there's lyrics in the song. If there were lyrics like when it went back into it or something, like I don't hate it because it's screamo. I get it. I like A Day to Remember. I think they're great. But
is that who did this?
No, it's just a screamo band that Seth Rollins likes a lot. But it's like I was like, was there a fan in the arena that like got the microphone and screamed at the perfect moment?
So I think it'll grow on you.
I don't know, man.
So when Seth Rollins' theme first came out, and I told you a million times, I'm a huge entrance theme guy.
Yeah, me too.
Huge entrance theme guy, always have been. So with that pause in between, like, when it starts and when it starts up again, it's so hard to time. But now you have something in the middle to fill that silence that makes it easier to time.
It's not that hard to time, buddy. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4.
No.
I think it is.
Do you want to do a test right now?
We will do a fucking test right now.
Yeah, I want to do a test right now. I want you to hit the table when the music drops, because I guarantee you're gonna swing and miss, and I'm gonna prove my point right here.
Hold this up to your mic. Okay. In the room, I just hit it exactly when the music dropped. Great for a podcast. I know you couldn't see it happen, but Jared is red as a fucking peach right now.
It's hot in here.
Because he is like, I am embarrassed.
Not embarrassed.
That is literally a perfect 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam.
Yeah, but you also...
Shout out Miss Hayes' 8th grade music class. Called me a crab in a bucket because I asked about time signatures. That's a story for a different time.
Right.
Seth Rollins' new theme is bad.
It's
Case
not
closed.
bad. I like it. I'm not saying that it's better or whatever. I just think that for the most part, it adds an element, because it adds an element that maybe the entrance theme needed. Because he's into it shows a little bit of his personality.
It fills the quiet space that is usually quiet. It's weird when his theme stops and the crowd is just quiet.
Yeah, because
it's weird. The main event was Big Show versus Big Cass for the rights to call themselves big. That wasn't the real stipulation, but it made it more tolerable to think that. Here's how it went down. They're having a match. In the closing stretch, Enzo, who is managing the Big Show, rushes the ring, attacks Big Cass from behind. Obviously, disqualification, all that jazz. Cass is fine, beats the shit out of Enzo, beats the shit out of the Big Show. Big Show gets up, hits Cass with a knockout punch, and that was the end of Raw. They all fell down. It's 3 dead bodies on the floor. Enzo once again looks like a geek.
Yeah, so this has gone on way too long.
Way too long.
Way too long.
Way too long, and with no progression.
Yeah,
nothing has changed. Enzo still hasn't gotten an ounce of offense.
No, and it sort of is. you go back to before the big reveal of Cass being the guy that jumped Enzo, and you had the Big Show sort of teaming up with Enzo. It was just. It's gone on long enough, and they've done enough to the point where it's like, we get it. Enzo is weaker than Big Cass. Like, what more can you do to sort of hammer home that point? Where is this going? Like, what are you building towards? Is it obviously like a SummerSlam match between Big Cass and the Big Show? But like, where does Enzo fit into this? So if we had the turn, right? You had Big Cass turn on Enzo. Just remove Enzo from the situation at that point, because you already had the pay-per-view match. He lost. It wasn't even a contest.
They had the rematch on Raw.
Yep.
Same exact thing.
Had the rematch, and then Big Cass is obviously, pick on someone your own size. So now it's a program with the Big Show.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's obviously they're still building up Big Cass as a singles guy, and when he eventually goes over the Big Show, which is obviously going to happen, that's going to legitimize him as a singles competitor. But I still don't understand the element of Enzo being involved in this. Like that storyline's over. So what they should have done, and obviously this sucks for Enzo, is their first pay-per-view match to hammer home the point that Enzo and Cass are no more and that Cass is this dominant force. He should have beat the shit out of Enzo in that first pay-per-view match. Had it not even been like a pinfall, just beat him to, fucking half to death and have it end on a disqualification, and then Enzo goes away for a while. Because right now he's just he's hanging around this feud that he's not even involved in, and he's not going to make an impact on it because he's not strong enough to really have an impact whatsoever.
And there's a rumor right now making its rounds through the DMs of a bunch of people that after SummerSlam, 205 Live is going to change direction, and they're going to kind of do away with the great wrestlers on 205 Live and bring in more personalities, one of which is Enzo Amore. So we're talking like Enzo on...
We were talking about this weeks ago.
I know, and now it is...
It's a bad idea.
And now it looks like it's becoming a reality, which it's just like, what are you doing at SummerSlam? It's tough.
So where do you stand on Enzo? Would you rather have him be an in-ring performer that's relegated to the cruiserweight division, or would you rather see him strictly be a manager of somebody?
Strictly be a manager. I said it since in September. Remember when Finn Balor got hurt and they did that fatal four-way for the Universal title? It was Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Big Cass. I said at that moment, Cass was so good in this match, Enzo should just be his manager. Enzo's not a good wrestler.
He's okay.
He's okay.
I don't think he's bad. I don't watch his in-ring work and I'm like, this guy's clunky or this guy sucks or he brings nothing to the... I enjoy
there have been moments
him.
where I do enjoy him too. It's because of his character. His character's so good that like it makes you care. But I think in-ring he's just not great.
But he's limited because of his body type.
I wouldn't say that.
I think he's limited because, what finisher could he perform on someone in a singles match that you're going to buy?
Cruiserweights that are the same size as him.
Like who? Give me an example.
Like Rich Swann is like
what's
pretty
his
much
finisher?
The 450 or Phoenix Splash.
Yeah, but that's what they all do. They all do the flips and the splashes.
I guess.
If I don't think Enzo is.
He should do some kind of fucking tornado DDT. I'm kind of a mark for the tornado DDT. That's a fun fact about me. I love the tornado DDT.
Not a big tornado DDT guy, but with Enzo, I still think that he brings value to please. I still want to see him in the ring. So the answer to the question I asked you is neither. I don't want either. I don't want him to go to the cruiserweights, and I don't want him to just be a manager. Stick him in the tag team division with somebody else. I guess stick him in a tag team with the Big Show.
Yeah, do it with Show if you need to.
Yeah, Kane and Daniel Bryan. It's the little guy and the big monster. Like it works. You fucking Batista and Rey Mysterio. It's been done before. It can be done again, and I don't want him sort of just. He's not with Big Cass anymore, so your career is just going to go off the rails. I think that he's way more. Look at all the fucking merch that they sell.
I know.
They don't sell that merch because of Big Cass. It's because of Enzo.
Yeah, it is. On the blue team, SmackDown had a good show. Open strong, closed strong. Everything in between was all right. Did you watch SmackDown, Jared?
I did. I happened to catch the first hour, but I missed the second one.
What are you talking about? Why did you miss the second hour?
Because of the epic 30th season of The Challenge on MTV.
The Challenge? What's going on that show?
It's actually it's 30 of the shadiest challengers are fighting over the biggest prize in challenge history.
How much? Is it a money prize?
Yes, it's a money prize. Guess how much?
It's got to be like $100,000.
Keep going.
2?
Keep going.
3?
$1 million.
Get the fuck out of here.
$1 million. The challenge is it's this 30th season. Have you ever been alive for season 1? Were you alive in season 1?
No, the challenge began like 2 months before I was born.
Right. That does make sense.
I can't believe this. $1 million?
$1 million.
And you're saying 30 of the shadiest characters.
Shady.
Wow.
Yes. Are you saying that you were watching SmackDown instead of watching the challenge?
I can't believe I fucking missed this.
You did miss it. And when I say you missed it, I don't mean that you just missed watching it. You missed out on something special.
And when can I watch this?
The Challenge 30 is all new on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on MTV.
Wow. Next week I'm going to have to miss out on that second half of SmackDown. We'll have to record it in the
DVR
morning.
that shit.
I'll DVR it. Yeah, wow. Challenge, it sounds fucking awesome. So on SmackDown, it began with Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles for the United States Championship once again. And once again, we
from the
pretty
Top
much,
Rope alumni, by the way.
From the Top Rope alumni. And we pretty much had a similar match to what we saw at the house show. I thought that was the closest representation if you're comparing this to all of their pay-per-view matches, TV matches, whatever. None of them. The one at the house show is pretty similar to this.
Well, because we were both down on the pay-per-view match, the most recent one.
Yeah, we were. We were a bit down. And this one had a finish very similar to that where there was a ref bump. The ref really couldn't see, and then Kevin Owens got pinned, but his shoulder was up. The ref counted it anyway, so then Shane is going to have to... I mean, this was the way... I think at Battleground, they decided they wanted Shane as the special guest referee at SummerSlam, and they tried to do that with the, there was a referee that did it, so they just had to kind of force it onto this week.
Right.
Good angle still, because now Kevin Owens complained and Shane McMahon will be the special guest referee at SummerSlam. Makes that match feel pretty important.
Well, with Shane McMahon and being that it is SummerSlam, don't you feel like he would be better served as an in-ring competitor versus a special guest referee? Like, how special is Shane McMahon as a referee? Or maybe, is he still hurt from the helicopter crash?
I don't think he was hurt at all from that. I think he's Gucci. But... I agree. I thought they might have been building to Shane versus Kevin Owens, which is a much more appealing match than AJ and Kevin again.
We've seen KO and AJ so many times.
Yeah. And it's never been over-the-top match of the year quality.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know how much Shane can add. Kevin, I assume, will attack Shane, and then Shane will attack back for a cheap pop or... I'm not really sure. I'm interested, though. It's got my interest.
It is interesting, but so we kind of talked off the air about how they could have done this differently in terms of, is Shane McMahon as the special guest enough to make this match special enough? Should they add an extra element to it besides just having a special guest referee? Where do you stand on that?
I wish they would have done something special that wasn't Shane in a stipulation. I wanted to see a ladder match. Or give me...
Because Kevin Owens
is the fucking ladder match guy.
He's sneaky Mr. Ladder Match.
He's Mr. Ladder Match. And that would have been great if it was there's a fucking crooked referee. And Shane was all right, well, next time you fight, there's going to be no referee. There's going to be you, AJ, and a ladder. And the belt's going to be hanging above the ring. First one to grab it, that's who's the champion.
That makes sense.
And Kevin Owens could even play that up as oh, you just made a big fucking mistake because I'm Mr. Ladder Match.
But that's the other thing where the company has went wrong is they don't play that up enough. Yeah. The fact that he has phenomenal, even when he doesn't win, he has great ladder matches. And I had another comment about Kevin Owens that I made earlier when we were watching SmackDown together here at Barstool headquarters. And that was, he looks like he's been putting in some work in the gym.
Yeah, he's slimming down.
Not even just slimming down. I was looking at his arms. He actually has muscle definition now. His arms look beefier, but they look muscular versus when he first came to the WWE or even just NXT. He looked like he was just kind of hiding a pillow under his fucking shirt, and he had just regular dad arms. Yeah. And now he looks like he's definitely not John Cena by any means, but he's definitely...
None of us are, though, Jared.
Right.
Speaking of which, you came to the office. I was surprised. Your muscles look way bigger on Skype. It's kind of a catfish.
Well, so that's the other thing is that now that I'm actually going to be in a routine, I'm going to be tremendously muscular within the next 2 months because I've been out of action. I tore my wrist in February. I've been busy in Boston. Now that I'm here in New York.
How'd you tear your wrist?
Working out.
What a hardo.
I know.
Main event of SmackDown that Jared actually did see was John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura. the match that I have been wanting since December 1st, 2015, I looked back at my tweets and I found a tweet from December 1st when Shinsuke was rumored to be signing with WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Cena is the match to make Daniel Bryan if he's healthy. This has been a dream match of mine for like almost 2 years now. Finally got it, and I would say it delivered. It was a really good match.
Yeah, but there was one instance where it was a little iffy.
There was one instance. So in the finish of the match, John Cena hit AJ with an attitude adjustment and went to roll him up into another one. Did I say AJ? Shinsuke.
Yes.
Reversed. Hit the Dragon Sleeper suplex, where the guy usually flips from his feet, backflip onto his stomach. That's how you take that move. I don't think John Cena knew this.
No.
And there was kind of a miscalculation on both parts where John Cena got dropped right on his fucking head.
Like on his neck / back of his head.
Looked like we were like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Like we both knew that's not, I mean, A, that's not how you take the move. B, that didn't look like it was, a comfy landing even for a botch.
Nope.
That
was a he might have broken his, he might be paralyzed.
Yeah. So what I was most concerned about was the fact that the fucking Red Sox just won. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Hold on, time out.
What inning are we in here?
That's a fucking walk-off.
I know, but what inning was
Bottom of the ninth.
it? Oh.
Holy shit. Sorry.
God damn it, Jared.
All right, what was I saying?
We were talking about the Cena getting dropped on his head.
Oh, yeah. So I knew that that's not how it's supposed to be taken, and I knew that that's not how, even in a botched situation, that was not a safe landing.
No.
There's some situations where, the move gets botched, but there's a safe way to land. That was not a safe way to land. But the craziest part, not the craziest, but what I noticed right away was that John Cena, went to go grab his ear. So that was, I was like, did he hear something pop?
Yeah.
Because, that was his first reaction to getting dropped on his neck / head was to go reach for his ear. So I think what happened was something must have cracked, in his neck or, his head, if you hear, a popping in your own fucking head. So, yeah, and, I mean, he still had the presence of mind at the end of the match to completely put Shinsuke over and do the whole we're both faces.
Yep.
Stand face the camera. I'm going to hold up your hand, point to you, give you all the praise, and then give you the ring.
Yeah, and we said that last week that, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, there was nobody that could face Jinder without the crowd turning on them. And then we said the man to do it is Shinsuke, and here we are. This is going to be a big match at SummerSlam. Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
It still should have been a triple threat.
Should have been a triple threat. I agree. This match, everything before the botch was very good. I even said the botch. Cena, he's so crazy. He might have said, give me that strong style shit and drop me on my head. He might be like, I want to see what this Japanese wrestling's all about. Drop me on this fucker.
Were you disappointed that their first, I guess, not high, it's fair to call it a high-profile match because of the stipulation.
Yep.
Were you disappointed that it was on SmackDown and not a built-up pay-per-view match?
Not really. A little bit, but I look at the match quality, and in hindsight,
yeah, the match was great.
I loved the match, so it doesn't really upset me. They got their due time. There's so many commercials on SmackDown tonight, which was weird, but they got enough time. It was like a 20-minute match, maybe a little longer, so I was happy with it.
So I think the other element here is that you can't really do a well-built. Not even a feud, or even call it a feud. You can't do a well-built feud up to a high-profile match without one of them being a heel. So
no, that's not true.
To be like a good feud, name one good feud that was between two faces.
Warrior and Hogan. It's an awesome feud.
Triple H, not Triple H. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker was another good one.
And Shawn showed shades of gray there, where he was kind of turning on Triple H and determined to win that Rumble. Oh, what a great feud.
Yeah, but it can happen. But I think in this case with John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't know. I'm sure we will see it someday. I'm sure we'll see a well-built feud.
Unless John's like, you dropped me on my fucking head, I'm not working with you anymore.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he's the kind of guy to do that. He probably went in the back and was like, it was both of our faults. You're good.
Yeah.
Coming up is Cream of the Crop. Enjoy. So like I said at the beginning of the show, Rone is joining us for the interview with Kevin Condron and Scorpio Sky. We figured we'd have him sit in this week because he was kind of a wrestling fan in the year 2000 for Cream of the Crop. And I talked to Rone a little bit, and he said that he loved a video game. So I said, all right, Cream of the Crop this week, we're doing video games. Jared, Rone, what do you got for us? Rone, you could start us off, the guest.
Okay, so I didn't have a broad expanse of video games to choose from. I only ever played one wrestling video game, but I played the fuck out of it. And with a lot of video games, that's what kind of, I played a NASCAR video game, and I started to kind of respect and like NASCAR. When I played, a lot of Madden, I knew more about the NFL then and all the players and everything. Video games are kind of a good tool to teach you about something. So I was playing WrestleMania 2000 for N64, I guess around the year 2000, but for about a decade after that. I just kept fucking playing. I had created my own characters in there. I had these 6'11", 600-pound dudes that won a lot. And in video games, I don't necessarily like to get good at the game. I just like to win a lot. And so I would have it on a low setting where it was easy to win, and I would just be whipping everybody's asses, having WrestleMania. And outside of the people who I was creating, I was playing with dudes like Val Venus was big in the game back at that time. Prince Albert, the Hardy brothers were fucking killing it in the game. That's what before Prince Albert's a penis piercing, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that was before I even knew what a Prince Albert was. I just thought it was a wrestler that I really liked. Little did I know.
The tag team was TNA, and I was like, yeah, Mom, I love TNA.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're like, what? Throwing around suckets all the time, having no idea that it's sexual suggestion.
Yeah. Jared, you got a favorite wrestling video game?
You put my brain in a pretzel when you asked me this question because I guess it's No Mercy, but I didn't think that was the name of the game. It was the first Nintendo 64 wrestling
Super
game
passionate
that ever
about
came
it.
out. Yeah, because I played the shit out of that game. That was N64. I just remember it was the first game where you could take shit out of the crowds and you could smash someone over the head with a television. But I remember back, because now kids will never understand my pain of having to go to this thing called a video store. Have you ever heard of one of those, Bob?
Oh yeah, I had Hollywood Video.
Yeah, so we
that was
had
tail end of my childhood.
we had what was it? Not Blockbuster. It was fucking, I don't know, some local chain. And I would go there, and there was WCW versus NWO as a video game. That was the first wrestling video game that I ever played for N64. But I think the coolest one was the first ever SmackDown for PlayStation. Because in that one, you could go backstage. There was story mode. There was all kinds of shit that you could do. So I would say, obviously I probably played the most wrestling video games on N64, but my favorite would be the first SmackDown because also, and we talked about this on an episode before, on N64, the wrestling entrance themes were fucking robotic.
Yep.
They weren't the real ones, but on PlayStation, they were the real entrance themes.
Actual songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, it was the first ever SmackDown on the original PlayStation. That was the best one.
And those were interesting because SmackDown, all the SmackDown games were on PlayStation, and all the Raw games were on Xbox. So it was you had to pick your brand and pick your system. It was you couldn't play SmackDown games on Xbox and shit like that. I was a big Xbox guy for a long time, so I loved Raw 2. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth was my favorite game of all time for a long, long time because that one took place at Madison Square Garden. You run out onto 7th Ave. WWF New York was right there. You go to Times Square. You could jump off helicopters.
Oh, you could really run outside in the games?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
literally
badass.
run backstage, run into Penn Station. It was very cool. You could do intergender wrestling, and I used to love playing as Trish Stratus because I had a crush on her. So I would just play as Trish Stratus all the
You ever
time.
meet her?
Never met her. Did you meet her?
I don't believe I have, no.
All right. Well, then we're on an even playing field.
I referenced Trish Stratus in a rap battle one time.
Really?
What was the line?
I was calling someone a diva. And I was like, you're such a diva, we should consider his status as Trish Stratus or some shit like that.
Oh, I love it.
Because
I
this guy
absolutely
loved calling
love
people
that.
divas at the time. And I was like, you know what? I know a diva, Trish fucking Stratus.
That is fucking awesome. So that was my favorite for a long time. But when WWE, and I'm going to get a lot of shit for this answer, when WWE 2K14 came out, I played the ever-living fuck out of that game.
Was that the Mankind one?
No, that was the one, or maybe, I don't know, the commercial you're talking about? I'm talking about the cover with The Rock on it, and you flip it, and it was Daniel Bryan on the cover. It was the flip fucking, they did the 30 years of WrestleMania mode.
Yeah.
Me and my brother played this game. I have the replica title. that you could like it looks like the real title.
Right.
We set rules. We were like, you get 3 wins. If I got 3 wins over my brother, and he was the champ, then I got a title match. Or if I won a Royal Rumble that he was also in. So we were like trading the fucking real title back and forth, having these 5-star classic matches. Me and my friends played it online to the point where it was like 2016, 3 years after the game came out, and we would just we would click ranked match, and we were the only 2 people online. They eventually shut down the servers, so you can't even play it online
only 2
anymore.
guys are playing anymore.
2 guys they were like 2 guys are playing. We could shut these down. But I played the shit out of that game, created all different entrances, wrestlers.
Wait, so what was your first wrestling video game that you ever played?
It was SmackDown Shut Your Mouth. I got it for Easter, whatever
What
year
year
it
was
came
that?
out. Must have been 2002.
So you were into it way back then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I
Yes.
remember I created my character and I named him something. It was like the Step Brothers name. It was like Nighthawk.
Yeah,
It was like
2002
something,
it came out.
Something ridiculous. Yeah, so I got it in 2002.
So was that
PS2.
PS2.
Yep.
Okay.
Crazy.
So that was my favorite. Coming up next is our interview with Kevin Condron and Scorpio Sky. It's a lively one. Rone was here for it. Jared was moving to New York. He's finally here in studio. This is actually the first time we've ever recorded anything in studio together.
Correct.
Wow, popped our cherry.
Monumental.
Wow, that's
Um,
awesome, guys.
Rone was
Big
here
day.
for it.
Big day.
That's amazing.
Thanks for being here.
I'm
Ron.
not going to forget this ever, and congrats on your guys. I know it's a young podcast, it's a new podcast, so congrats on your guys' new podcast. I'm pretty
Thank you
excited
very much.
for it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Dude, even listening a little bit to this interview that we're about to get into, it has me fired up for that event that they're going to be doing.
Yep. So enjoy this interview with Kevin Condron and Scorpio Sky. All right, so on Twitter this week, I got a funny notification from my pal Cody Rhodes, who joined us on the first episode of From the Top Rope. And he tagged me in a tweet by Kevin Condron that said that he was looking to go on some wrestling podcasts, looking to, talk to the people. And Cody said, Robbie, I got to tell you, he would be perfect on your show. I was like, oh, I'll have Kevin on the show any day of the week. And he knows my good pal Rone that I work with. So we also got Rone as a co-host, his first wrestling podcast ever. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing great, Robbie. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Rone, do you want to talk about how you know Kevin? Because this is, kind of an odd connection. We got the Battle Rap World Champion. We got the owner, founder of Wrestle Circus, founder of Squared Circle.
It's crazy because I have very few connections to the wrestling world, but I would say our guy Kevin Condron is one of the few. I actually went to college with this guy. I'm looking at old pictures from 2006 right now. There's a picture 11 years ago of us like in the basement of some party drinking Natty Lights, just having a good old time, just being some young college kids. Getting a little bit too drunk, whooping it up a little bit, and just having a good time. And since then, I've gotten to see the blossoming of an incredible personality. But I guess I can say I knew you when.
Yeah. I remember that night. I think that was Pie Cap, maybe, or I don't know. It was a frat basement, though. I know that, and we were definitely coming from East Halls. I missed those Penn State days, man. We had some awesome times up there.
We did have a bunch of good times. We were drinking up in the dorm rooms, getting all fucked up when we were 18 years old, and just.
Well, I remember those days, but then I remember when you battled Hurricane Chris. Was it outside his show?
It was Charles Hamilton.
Oh, it was Charles Hamilton. That's right. Not Hurricane Chris. That shit, it was different. Yeah, I remember when that video started going around, we were like, "Oh shit, that's Rone."
That's
and then it was like
nerdy white kid.
Yeah, and then we all kind of came back together, I remember, and we partied a little bit, like, later in college. Like,
Yes.
Once everybody turned 21, we kind of went everybody had their own bars, their own places to go.
Exactly, yeah, but it definitely goes to show that there is a backstory behind everything that we see in the ring, whether it's the battle rap ring or whether it's where you guys get busy wrestling. There is always a little bit of humanity behind there, and worlds do collide in mysterious ways.
Yeah, and I got to say that just from my side of the aisle, it's been great to watch you. As we've kind of just said, it's awesome to see your career blossom into what it's become, and just with the changing of content delivery, right? Like 7 years ago when we graduated college, the way that we consume things has completely flipped upside down. And now people like you and I, I'm more than just a wrestler, just as you're more than just a rapper. We've all kind of grown into different roles, and sort of. I don't know. I don't want to apply a term to it, but I just think it's really it's great to see you grow like that, and it reminds me that like we've all grown. You know, Robbie too, like Barstool, everything. Like I feel like we've witnessed this giant sort of come into the sports world, and we've all sort of been a part of it in our own way, whether we've been consumers or creators.
And from your point of view, it's just sick to see you. It seems like whenever I see any like clips of you or anything, it's like, damn, that's what this dude was made to do. Like, you can talk that fucking shit up there and just like wax poetic and just absolutely own the stage and own the moment. And it's just like, damn, it's satisfying to see someone just doing exactly what they were meant to do.
Thank you. Man, somebody asked me, actually, okay, so I had a recent stint in a mental hospital, and they asked me, why do you wrestle? And yeah, sorry, I don't know if that was news, but yeah.
It's breaking news now. I love it.
Well, recent stint in a mental hospital, things got a little crazy. They asked me, why do you wrestle? And I couldn't answer. I couldn't give them an answer. All I could say was, this is what I was supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. So it's interesting you bring that up, because I was put on the spot. It was like, can you tell me why? And I'm like, well, like, because I don't love my dad. And I can't give you any wrestler answer. We've all got daddy issues. We've all got narcissism issues. But it feels like what I'm supposed to do. So I appreciate you saying that. And to that point about talking that shit, I actually, I still don't quite know where I stand with Cody. Because I mentioned his father in a promo early on, because Dusty was born in Austin, Texas. Like, it wasn't anything disrespectful, but I immediately got to the back, and Joey Ryan comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, never mention his family." And I was like, but I was giving context to the situation. We're in Austin, Texas, and that's where this fight with Scorpio Sky is going to happen, and that's why the Rhodes name means something in this town. Like, I was totally not trying to be disrespectful, but Joey's like, dude, like, you fucked up. And I'm like, do I text him? Do I call him? Like, how do I fix this? And he's like, dude, what am I supposed to tell you? So since then, I've been on a show with Cody, Bar Wrestling 2, but unfortunately we didn't get a chance to speak. So Cody and I are going to be on opposite sides of the ring when Scorpio Sky takes him on, hopefully for the Ring of Honor World Championship, world title. But I mean, realistically, Cody might punch me in the nose when I see him in the locker room.
Wow, we got some real tension between you and Cody here.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is I've always looked up to Cody. He's always been somebody that I always said, when I finally go and do this wrestling thing, Cody's going to be the guy that I emulate. And if you look at my history, you can see character transition and change and growth and evolution. And I've been taking Cody's lead for so many years. And now this guy I'm managing, Scorpio Sky, gets this opportunity to fight Cody. And now it's like Cody and I are coming to finally to meet. And it's like, the first time he heard my name, he instantly felt a certain way about me, and it wasn't a good way. I don't think.
What is that for people who don't know? Why do they not want you to mention his dad?
Well, I think it's a soft spot, and when they lose a parent, it's got to be like something that you don't want to build fiction around. You don't want to trivialize, and that wasn't what I was trying to do. It's just that, like, Dusty is such a legend in the wrestling world, and absolutely in Austin, Texas. I mean, his name is synonymous with professional wrestling. So it's kind of like, again, I wasn't doing it to be disrespectful. I was doing it to give context to the situation. But here we are. August 5th is on Saturday, and I'm going to go into the locker room firmly standing behind Scorpio Sky, who really knows how to throw hands.
Yeah, and we're going to have Scorpio join us in a minute to talk about that matchup. But I just want to talk about Wrestle Circus really quick, because you have really transcended just being a professional wrestler, right? So you started Squared Circle, which is obviously one of the more popular subreddits ever.
15th all time. Yeah, 15th today, I think.
15th.
Wow.
There's how many subreddits? The hundreds of thousands. And Squared Circle's 15. I go there every single day. I've been going there every single day for years.
I have to say, if I can just interject,
yeah.
I don't actively moderate. So I know that a lot of people the moderator team there works really, really hard, and I don't want to feign like I'm taking credit for that. I just founded the place and then let it grow after 2 years.
It's still something to have on your resume. Like, you were the founder of, one of the more popular subreddits ever.
Yeah, and it all started out of spite.
Really? What does that mean?
Well, so there was a subreddit called just Pro Wrestling, and me and Pootie, who also founded it, and this guy Paul Couture, who is one of actually he's behind Powerbomb TV. He's one of the programmers behind there, and the three of us were always talking about like not just mainstream wrestling, indie wrestling as well, but I specifically was talking about CM Punk and a lot of the stuff he was doing in 2011, and I was doing it on the Pro Wrestling sub. And this guy that ran it was called John Hyperion, and he was like a fan that photographed all the women's wrestling shows and sat front row at every one, and he very much was into anything not WWE. So anybody who would talk about it too much would get banned. And he was the one moderator. So it was just one guy running this subreddit about wrestling, and there maybe were about 2,000 users, and we all were kind of like, this is fucking bullshit. Let's start our own, you know? And then Pootie and I went back and forth on private message, and I came up with the name, and then he went and founded the sub. And now, like, now we're the 15th most active subreddit on Reddit, which is, like you said, it's not really.
Yeah, it's crazy it's crazy that you got banned for talking about WWE. For like Rone or any listeners that are, you know, kind of casual, that'd be like being banned from the football sub for talking about the NFL. It's
well,
that's
that was
the main
thing. Yeah, and that's why we said like, okay, this is a subreddit run by one guy who wants to dictate wrestling his way. So we're going to start a subreddit for the community, like by the community for the community, and that's what Squared Circle always was. And now it's, now you go there and it's indie wrestling barely makes the front page. It's a mostly WWE subreddit. But interesting to that point, we as the moderators, my favorite day was the day that we absorbed pro wrestling, r/pro wrestling. That was like my Vince McMahon, WCW,
yeah.
I felt really great. Yeah, the merger. But yeah, we've since, Reddit's top level admins have been in direct contact with WWE. So we've been kind of circumvented from that process, the moderators. Like there was a time though where they were contacting us and asking like, hey, what's up with your sub? And this is pretty great. But now it's just a total, like, the Reddit top level admin team is on that. So yeah, the relationship is in tight as far as I know.
How do you grow a subreddit? Like, how do you create a subreddit into something? Is it something you're actively doing, or just the fact that there are wrestling fans, it kind of passively just happens?
So we did it in a couple ways. We synced with Twitter and we synced with Tumblr. So we had, as anything that got posted to sub went out to those two networks right away. And so we had kind of that 3 different social networks, like layered effect. But so we were pulling in people from Twitter, we were pulling in people from Tumblr, we're pulling in people from Facebook as well. And not only that, but we had effective community interaction and effective community rules, because a lot of times subreddits can turn to shit. And if there aren't rules about shit posting or, certain like engagement interactions, if you don't have rules around that kind of stuff, it can't grow properly. And the first like year or two, and it also depends on how many moderators you had, because if you don't add enough, the work gets overwhelming. If you add too many, you get moderator battles and drama. So it can be really trying. And it has helped me get jobs in the software industry since I founded that subreddit, and just people understanding the volume of community members and the volume of interaction that goes on there. It's primed me for a job in a different world. So it's been really beneficial and really rewarding for me. I mean, and like you said, Robbie, I go there every day.
Yep.
I use it just as a consumer.
And it's nice that, because I've been such a, for 4 or 5 years I've been on Squared Circle, and it's nice to see your posts because it comes through that you're still like a very big fan of professional wrestling. And I feel like that's kind of a problem in the industry where wrestlers are too cool to like other people's matches. Not as much in indie wrestling, because I feel like now the community is more together, but it's just nice to see that you're still like as much a fan as everyone else.
I recently ran a seminar, and it was actually Saturday morning at Santino Brothers in Los Angeles. I'm working on a manager/commentary class there with Loud and Noxious. So I ran this seminar, and I had people tell me that they were a fan of me, and that's the first time that's really kind of ever happened in a backstage setting. Like, I've had people kind of say they admire my work or that they're familiar with it, but like this was the first time that someone was genuinely like, I was 11 when I first saw you. And it's like, now they're in this class and I'm teaching it, and like I'm realizing that as much as I can still be a fan, and I have a responsibility to still look at wrestling from that lens and try to see it from that viewpoint, because I'm making wrestling now. You know, I'm creating characters, I'm creating matches, I'm creating storylines, but just as I'm doing that, I have to remember that I was the one who started that subreddit because I was so enthralled by CM Punk's pipe bomb. You know, like that was something, like I can't forget that. And I almost, sometimes I'm almost too in that fan's seat, and I commentate too much from a fan's perspective, and it gets me in trouble. And I have to be kind of snap back into the reality that in this industry, like I do have some influence, and people are starting to listen to me and pay attention.
I mean, there's over a 250,000 people on the subreddit.
Yeah,
it's insane the amount of influence that I mean you can wield through there.
So you kind of just spoke about it. You did what every wrestling fan dreams of, and that's, you know, when they're playing with action figures. You have your own promotion now. You book Wrestle Circus in Texas.
Yeah, so I want to clarify. Al and Lexi Lenhart are the owners of Wrestle Circus, and Al Lenhart takes on most of the booking there. I've been brought on recently to help with kind of like heavy lifting, you know, like if it's getting flights, getting people in on time, getting any sort of marketing, or we have a lot of sponsorship work that we're doing right now. We're working with investors. So there's a lot of stuff like day to day that when I have a job at a software company, when that job ends, my phone starts going off for Wrestle Circus. So that's like my average day. So in terms of booking, I asked, like, with every promotion that I've worked at, since, I mean, even from day one at Chikara, I've always asked for a certain amount of agency from the promoter, and I've asked for a certain level of trust, and I've earned it too, whether it's through work that I've done or proving myself in other ways. Like there's always kind of a way to do that at every wrestling company you work at. So I've been given that agency at Wrestle Circus to kind of affect certain outcomes, not outcomes, but affect certain storylines, just with kind of with being asked, like, how do you see this happening? How would you see that going? And then providing different scenarios or whiteboarding a situation. Like, so I guess writing is maybe the term I would use for it. Booking is kind of like that really comes down to Al and Lexi. You know, they kind of have final say over that. But I think that the interesting thing about my relationship with Wrestle Circus is that it started on Reddit. And I see a lot of the criticism on Reddit that says, like, oh, you know, they're canvassing us. And I'm like, we're doing it, but we're asking you guys, like, every step of the way, we're showing exactly what we're doing. Like, we're not canvassing. We're just using this subreddit for feedback, for interaction. I mean, if you look from the history of Wrestle Circus, their titles were named on Reddit. The show's first name was created on Reddit. The logo was chosen on Reddit. Like, they voted, they had fans vote on everything. So I think that that's something, and that's what drew me to working formally for the company, as not just as a wrestler and a performer, but as someone in a greater capacity. The thing that drew me to them was they're for the community and by the community. Like, the community is professional wrestling. We are all a part of that community, and we all share in that. We have a responsibility to each other to hold each other accountable when you see, like, a guy like with a shitty Nazi gimmick come out. Like, we have a responsibility to kind of hold people accountable. When you, like, there's this, just as Reddit is its own community, wrestling is its own community, and Wrestle Circus tries to give the community exactly what they want. You know, that's not like a guy just playing action figures and trying to make a wrestling company for himself. It's trying to make, like, the best product that the Reddit user wants to see, you know, that the wrestling Twitter observer wants to consume. So I was drawn to it because of the level of community interaction, and it just struck me as something that's different in an industry. The wrestling industry is not transparent. You know, people that run wrestling companies like to do it in the shadows. They like to do it behind the scenes because that's how you can get away with, you know, making money off of wrestlers that you shouldn't, or, you know, there's a whole litany of things. But Wrestle Circus, I feel, it provides, it's a different type of company. And I'm just really happy to be a part of it. And I'm really psyched for our show on Saturday. And August 5th is going to be the first time that the Ring of Honor title is defended at Wrestle Circus. Of course, if I have anything to say about it.
Yeah, and you can find that show on twitch.tv/WrestleCircus, which is also very cool because Twitch, like you're saying, for the community, by the community, it's free. You know, you can go watch that on Twitch, and it's a crazy card. We could get Scorpio on the line now. If you beat Brandy Rhodes, Cody's wife, Sky is getting a shot at the Ring of Honor World Championship in the main event. Would you say that would be the biggest match in WrestleCircus history?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the Ring of Honor title is, now that Cody is the Ring of Honor champion and he is defending it as openly as he is, it's become so much more meaningful.
Yep.
The title is worth more because of the person who wields it, and it's like I think that. So I want to talk about how we got to me fighting Brandy. I said to Cody, because we were private messaging, because I did try to reach out and just look. Once he followed me, I DM'd him and I was like, hey, sorry about the Dusty thing. And he didn't really, he was cool with it. He's like, just don't ever mention my family. And then I was immediately like, well, look, you know, what does it take to get the title on the line? And he mentions his family.
Yep.
And he's like, who do you, he's like, what do you need me to do? He's like, I want you to feel embarrassed. He's like, you walk around WrestleCircus and no one challenges you. It's like, so I want you to feel shame. And I'm like, thanks, Cody. Cool. So I told him, you know, I was possessed by a demon a few years ago, and the demon was called Snowflake. It was very similar to Stardust. And what Cody didn't know is that we were both possessed by space demons at the same time, space demon possession. So I said to him, what do you think about Stardust versus Snowflake? I said, I'm sure that Snowflake could defeat Stardust, and then we can get a Ring of Honor title match for Cody. And he's like, nah, we're not going to do that. So I was like, how about Goldust? Because I don't know if you guys have noticed this recently, but Goldust has started bringing his own personal cameraman to the ring.
Yep.
That's my gimmick.
Oh, gimmick infringement.
Yes. And the worst fucking part is he's not filming anything. Like, my guy, Thomas, if you tune into the latest episode of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, watch it on Fight TV. If you tune in, you'll see Thomas get attacked in the ring while holding the camera. He gets totally speared by Ruby Reyes. Goldust guy doesn't even use a real camera. But that's neither here nor there. He didn't want me to fight Goldust. He actually said, if you can beat my wife, I'll put the Ring of Honor title on the line against Scorpio Sky. Instant, done. I am going to punch her in the face as soon as the bell rings and knock her out. One punch or a drop kick, and that's going to be it. And then Scorpio Sky is going to wrestle for the world title, the Ring of Honor world title, just an hour later, and he's going to win. And then he's going to get a Ring of Honor deal. And you know what the best part is? He's going to get whatever fucking deal he wants. Because once he has their title, he's going to have them by the balls. And that's the thing about Scorpio Sky. He is the best. I've been saying this to everybody. I put him up against Kenny Omega. I put him up against Ibushi. I put him up against Seth Rollins. I put him up against... I put him over Cody. Watch Sky's matches. He is a 15-year veteran. Watch his matches. Watch the knee lift, the bicycle knee, and then go watch a Kenny Omega match. And ask yourself, do you remember the time Sky wrestled Kenny?
No.
Did Kenny take anything with him? That's the thing. Sky has wrestled everybody.
Yeah.
And for some reason, is it because he's from SoCal? Is it because PWG doesn't book him anymore? Is it because he was Daniel Bryan's therapist, Harold? There's some reason that people are overlooking Scorpio Sky? And I told him last summer when we started at WrestleCircus together, I said to him, not only are we going to expel the notion that you are one to be overlooked, but we are going to remind everybody that you are the best. And Scorpio Sky is the best. So I think that Cody challenging me to beat his wife, that was his first mistake. Cody offering to put the title on the line was his second mistake. And his third mistake was accepting the match with Scorpio Sky. Now, I don't know if they happen in that order, but regardless, Cody Rhodes, he slipped. And we're going to take advantage of that on Saturday.
Do we have Sky on the line? Yep. We got to get Sky on the line to talk about this matchup because Man,
I would
the
love
tension
to.
is building in this room.
Yeah, I'm fired up about it. Just hearing you talk about it has me fired up. I
Dude,
heard
I'm
it
sweating.
at the end of the Wrestle Circus during one of the events that I saw online. You even dropped the trust the process when you were talking about it.
Well, so that's another thing I want to talk about is my admiration for Joel Embiid. And Sky and myself have come to be known as the process. But I tell everybody, Joel is the process. You know, we are also the process. We are all a part of the process. And we all must follow the process, Rone. We have to believe in the process. We have to trust the process.
Hell yes. That has me fired up right now.
Sky, you there?
There we are.
What's up, man?
Yo.
So we're here. We're talking about this match. Condron's talking about how he is going to punch Brandy Rhodes in the face and get you that Ring of Honor title shot on August 5th at Wrestle Circus. We got to get your thoughts on it. We got to get your thoughts on Cody putting his wife against Condron so you can get the title shot. Are you confident in Condron? Do you think that you're going to beat Cody for the title? What are you going to do after you get the title? We just got to get your thoughts on the whole situation.
It's a tough situation because by any stretch of the imagination do I condone violence against women. But what are we supposed to do? Cody Rhodes put her in this place. She is a professional wrestler. The match is set. So, of course, we need to win the match. We have to win the match. So Kevin Condron is going to do what he has to do to get the victory, and then we're going to go on and we're going to win the ROH World Heavyweight title.
And this isn't about violence against women. Sorry, Robbie. This is about one man's hubris. Cody Rhodes, he put his wife up against me. She's a competitor as far as I see. I don't see sex once that bell rings.
That's progressive of you.
It's very snowflakey and progressive of me, isn't it?
Very.
Very. So Sky, do you have plans going forward? When you're going to win the Ring of Honor World Championship, are you traveling around? Are you just defending that in Wrestle Circus? Are you getting that Ring of Honor deal? What's going on there?
Well, the plan is this. Once I beat Cody Rhodes for the ROH World Heavyweight title, then Kevin and I will be open to sitting down with ROH and we can discuss a contract of some sort with open dates, because I need open dates. I have a lot of obligations inside and outside wrestling. So we can discuss it after that. Other than that, what I plan to do, and I've said it many times now, is I'm going to take the ROH World title and I'm going to unify it with the Ringmaster Championship, and I'm going to become the very first Wrestle Circus ROH World Ringmaster Champion. That's going to happen. I'm speaking it into existence.
And Cody has, he's famous for making a list of people that he wanted to face. Do you have a bucket list of people? Because Condron's here, he's really hyping you up. He's saying that you guys are out to prove that you are the best professional wrestler on earth. Do you have certain guys that you're like, I got to beat this person so everyone knows that I'm the fucking guy?
Well, we know Cody is a big fan of lists. And so the next list that Cody is going to make is vacation destinations, because after August 5th, he's not going to really have much to do in pro wrestling. He already won a world title. He was in the WWE, and then he got wiped out by Scorpio Sky, who is the best. So he can just go ahead and plan an extended vacation with his beautiful wife, and I wish them the best. As far as myself goes, I want to be right up there with the top guys in the world. I want Kenny Omega. I want Okada. I want anybody in the WWE, if they're willing to step up to the plate and face the best. Anybody that wants it can get it.
Wow. This main event at Wrestle Circus, August 5th.
It's becoming a must-see event very quickly.
Very quickly.
It's free.
And it's free on twitch.tv/Wrestle Circus. This is like, the tension is really rising. There's some legitimate hatred here. We don't know if Cody legitimately hates Condron.
There's no hatred. There's no hatred from our side. There's no hatred from our side. What's on our side is what's called competitive greatness. That's what the process is all about. Competitive greatness. Say it with me.
Competitive greatness. Yep.
Yes.
That's right. And so there's no hatred. We have no room for hate in our heart. What we are is competitors and businessmen, and we want to excel and be the best at every single thing we do. And Cody Rhodes just happens to be in the way, and so we have to get him out of the way. There's nothing personal about it.
That's beautiful. You just have to dispose of the trash. If the trash is in your way, you got to take out the trash. I love it.
Hate is heavy.
That's a fact. So where does the attitude come from? Is there any way that you can kind of take us back and just Like there's so much attitude going on right now. What's the genesis of all this attitude?
For me, I've said it before, this is a Cinderella story. I consider myself the Cinderella man, the modern day James J. Braddock. This is a comeback for me. Scorpio Sky broke into the business, and I had some hype behind me, and I had some good years, and everyone looked at me and said, this guy's got a lot of potential. He can do a lot of things. And then I had a run of hard luck, and some bad things happened, and I made mistakes. And, it looked like maybe I was done for a while, and I had some hard years. But now, when everybody counts you out, you just keep getting back up no matter how many times you get knocked down. And here I am. And I've got a little bit of an attitude. I've got a little bit of chip on my shoulder because, one, I'm tired of being told that I'm not good enough to be at the top. I'm tired of being called things that I'm not, and I'm not going to go into that. But Scorpio Sky is ready to show the world that Scorpio Sky is the best. Hashtag it, say it, put it on a T-shirt, write it on your wall, do whatever you have to say, do whatever you have to do, but remember it. Scorpio Sky is the best.
You heard the man. We're gonna see who the best is at Wrestle Circus on August 5th. It's tough because now the whole main event are guests on this podcast. I don't know who I'm rooting for. If I'm rooting for my pal Cody, if I'm rooting for Scorpio Sky coming on, Kevin Condron's in his corner, 2 against 1. It's gonna be very exciting. You can watch it on twitch.tv/Wrestle Circus. Like we said, it's a free show. You have no reason not to watch this show. I don't care if you're a wrestling fan, if you're not a huge wrestling fan trying to get into it, like our pal Rone here. You have to watch a show. It's great if you're looking to get into it because, you listen to this podcast, there's some fucking hatred in the room.
Dude,
they're saying there's not hatred. I think there's hatred. He's saying Cody's got to go. Cody's got to go on vacation after this.
Yeah. I just hope Cody and I can be friends after this. I know it's hard to lose a big match that's been hyped up, and it's going to be your big homecoming. But you see, and that's the thing about it. This is like a Rocky story. In Rocky 1, Apollo Creed wanted to have a big event, right? He wanted to have this big celebration and a fight to celebrate independence of the United States. And what he did was he wanted to choose a guy that was going to be easy work. He wanted to choose a guy that was going to just basically step in the ring and lay down for him. And that's why he looked and he found the unknown Rocky Balboa. Now, this parallels what's happening here in Wrestle Circus because Cody Rhodes wanted to have this big homecoming to Austin, Texas, where everyone can cheer him and throw streamers and talk about how great he is and how it's the heritage and yada, yada, yada. So he chose the somewhat unknown Scorpio Sky, thinking that he was going to come in and I was just going to be excited to be in the moment and share the ring with the great Cody Rhodes and lay down for him. But nothing can be further from the case. And I know now that he's seeing me on social media, he's seeing the things I'm doing, and maybe he's doing a little bit of research and homework and seeing that I knock guys out in cages and that I knock guys out in rings and that I'm not going to get in the ring and be intimidated or in awe of the moment. I know I'm going to be the guy that's going to be victorious in this match because I'm ready for the moment. I deserve the moment. And I don't think of this as sharing the ring with Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes is coming into my ring. He's coming into my town of Austin, Texas. This is my home, not his homecoming. And he's going to be in for a very rude awakening on Saturday. Mark my words.
Wow.
Holy shit. Everybody has something to say till they get hit in the mouth. And it sounds like Cody Rhodes is in for it.
It does, and it's hard for me. Cody considers me family. He says that I'm on Team Rhodes. He calls me Robbie Rhodes. It's hard for me to hear this.
Well, then consider me on Team Sky then. If you're on Team Rhodes, and I'm on Team Sky. Let's go.
It's hard for me to hear this. We're gonna be battling on Saturday, I guess.
I'm with it.
Man, Condron, Sky, thanks for joining us. You have hyped this match up to a level that I didn't think I would be hyped up for it. I thought I couldn't get any more excited, and now here I am,
Chomping at the bit, foaming at the mouth, frothing at the gash.
I got to be honest, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous for my guy Cody.
Uh-oh.
There's just that determination in Sky's voice that's scary.
I think you should be nervous because I'm going to smash him in his face with my knee, and I'm going to hit him with the ace of spades, and I'm going to become world champion. There's nothing he can do about it. I can openly say exactly what I'm going to do because it's going to be up to him to try to stop me. And he's not going to be able to do it.